everybody. Welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda, and I'm here with my brother, Eric.
What's up, everybody? We are here with Season 5 of Stranger Things, Episode 6, Escape from Camazotz. And I'll tell you what, this one's got some interesting moments. Yes. Can I phrase it that way? I'm just going to call it interesting.
They're interesting.
They're definitely hotly debated moments. Two specifically. That I mean, my Instagram feed at the time was just jam-packed with people criticizing moment A or moment B, and we will get to both of them, and we will certainly put our thoughts on the table and how, you know, we feel like they may have changed on a rewatch.
That's right. Yeah, it is interesting how you might see things a little bit differently on a rewatch, for better or for worse. And I look forward to getting into that specifically. You know, we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and listening in to these rewatch episodes. If you like what you're hearing, please throw us some 5-star ratings. Tell your friends. Tell anyone else who may be interested in listening in on rewatches, whether it's Stranger Things, as we're talking about here, or Friends, as we talk about on our other episodes. So, and if you guys have suggestions of other shows that you're interested in hearing us chat about, please let us know. We are getting to the end of Stranger Things. We only have 2 more episodes left after this one, although we are breaking the final episode into 2 parts because it is very, very long. So I guess that's 3 weeks left of Stranger Things episodes. I cannot believe that, Eric. Oh my God.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And of course, this is the first show that we have finished on this podcast in full, as Friends is much longer. So at the end, after the final episode, after we break that one in 2, we still intend to do an episode or 2 of some kind of wrap up to all of Stranger Things and reaction to the entire show and some of our favorite moments and things like that throughout. So you can look forward to that episode, or 2 of them, I think, maybe coming up as we close out Stranger Things before we start our next thing. And you can look forward to an announcement about that next thing in one of those wrap up episodes.
Yeah, because we have to decompress from this a bit. It's a lot. There has been a lot that's gone into this. We have really gotten into all the details, all the little, like, at least, listen, I'm sure other people have noticed details that we've missed, even though I feel like we've gone through the freaking fine-tooth comb, though, and like, as we're gonna get to today, oh my goodness, there's a lot there. And I know that just to, like, all right, so that's the end of the episode, let's just move on to the next show. We need to we gotta have
a moment here where we talk about all of it together and maybe rank some things. I feel like that will be on the line, maybe mentioning some favorites and least favorites of the entire series, and with that, though, I mean, let's jump into this one. Amanda, I believe you're going to open this one up. So this is Season 5, Episode 6, Escape from Camazotz.
That's right. And just as a quick reminder of where we left things off last week, remember, we had Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan exploring the Department of Energy in the Upside Down, searching for that shield generator. We also saw Kali telling Eleven how Dr. K has been continuing Papa's experiments with her blood. Meanwhile, the rest of the Hawkins group was electrocuting a demogorgon so that Will could channel back into the hive mind and attack Vecna just as he was about to kill Max, which was an epic moment where we saw Will just snapping Vecna's legs, so we now that that now is possible. But then at the end, our dear Nancy was shooting her shotgun into the sky, and that's where we left things, because we also see Dustin frantically be like trying to connect with them on the walkie-talkie, which he had already broken. My God, Dustin. So it's just chaos, and we are gonna dive right back into that. But yes, in this opening scene, so chapter 6, Escape from Camazotz, we are seeing opening right back up to where we left things off with Jonathan and Nancy on the roof of the Department of Energy after Nancy shot at the sky. And it's
I do love Jonathan here. Like, did you miss?
I know, because nothing happened like immediately, but then pretty much seconds later, we see it was basically like they tore through the fabric of space and time, because the sky went all crazy and it was just like this giant red orb almost starts to form with like the black crazy particles kind of flying around almost like demonic monsters. Like, it looked nuts, and it grew larger and larger very rapidly until it just exploded. So much so that it threw Jonathan and Nancy way back with this massive shockwave. And we also see Dustin in the stairwell falling down, and there are just these waves that are quickly moving over all of them, even to the point where it's moving over where Hopper and 11 are with Kali in the Upside Down. By them, it's appearing more like this blue wave, and it is crashing into that wall, and it's creating almost this ripple effect of light against them. So there is craziness happening. We don't really know. 11's just kind of staring at it, so it doesn't knock them down. But they're watching all of this madness. They obviously know that something has caused it. They don't know what.
Yeah. And they're not on the roof like Nancy and Jonathan are. They're down on the floor.
No.
So of course this makes it's much higher above them. But
yes.
It is, these shock waves are basically coming out and pounding against that wall. But it's a nice little then switch here as we go to knocking on Mr. Clark's door.
That's right, because then Erica is appearing at Mr. Clark's demanding a new telemetry tracker. And he's like, what's happening now? And then I love how Murray pops out and he's saying that he's her babysitter. She's saying he's her uncle. He's like, no, babysitter. It doesn't look good. Mr. Clark's like, I don't know what is happening here, but you guys are interrupting my date. He has this woman over, the librarian. I think this is the same woman that maybe Hopper was dating in the earlier season. I don't know. There was something about the librarian Hopper had over his house. So I don't know. If
there was a mention about a librarian that Hopper was dating at one point for sure.
Yes. So Erica is stopping him from closing the door because this is Erica. And then she does make the comment though that Dustin is in danger. And this stops Mr. Clark from shutting her out completely, and he's listening in. And we also then see Steve finding Dustin in the stairwell. So we're back now in the Department of Energy with Dustin, and he is trying to quickly explain that he was very wrong with his original theory. And he's saying that the key to destroying the wall is in the lab, but it is not what they expected because Vecna did not make this. Science did. And he's saying it's an exotic matter and a single source of energy is holding this wall together. And guess what? Our friend Nancy just shot at it. So he must have heard the shot because he wasn't up there. So I guess he heard the shotgun go.
He assumed that she shot at it.
Well, he does. He knows her. He knows Nancy at this point. He's like, girl's got the shotgun. If I know Nancy, I'm guessing that's what caused this. And he used his deductive reasoning.
He's not wrong.
He was correct. No, he's not wrong. And so again, Vecna did not make the wall. He's saying no one is on the other side of this thing. It's just death. Death is on the other side. And that's when we see 11 and Hopper and Kali watching the car that they drove into the wall get sucked through the wall. And then this like vortex of wind, it's going crazy all around them because now there's just this hole in the wall and everything is trying to get forced through it. And meanwhile, they're seeing this gate also in the distance. Like they can see this red glowing in the ground and they want to get to it. So 11 is wanting to use she's trying to use her powers to basically create a safe passageway for them so that she's like knocking trees out of the way. Meanwhile, I love how Hopper is still like, let me take the lead. And she's like, I got this. Like, get behind me, and it's like, okay, Hopper, you need to.
Have you watched The Incredibles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the daughter in The Incredibles, Violet, is she like puts up shield bubbles all the time.
Oh,
this was very reminiscent to me of that. Like,
protective
you're just
shield bubble.
like she's 11 is walking, hands up, throwing up this, like, you can almost see this bubble shield around her until like a tree starts coming at her, which she just like swings her arms and shatters the tree, and she just kind of holds up this force field for her and Kali and Hopper to stay behind as they are making their way towards the gate.
Yes. Because we know now that, as Dustin's saying, there's nothing else out there. Like, that. She needs to get them past this. She needs to get them safely across. I mean, 11 doesn't even really know what's out there, but obviously it does not look good. So we go back to Dustin, though, where he's continuing explaining to Steve that the Upside Down, it's not another world. It's actually a bridge between two worlds. And if this bridge collapses, it will be the end of everything. Like the end of us, the end of our world. And before the credits roll, we see the camera panning out and we follow the car that got sucked through. Now it's just flying into nothingness, into space, and we zoom out and see the wall that's just forming this massive tunnel between, or the bridge, as Dustin said, between like our world in Hawkins and Vecna's realm. So it's really this like interdimensional wormhole that has been created between these two worlds. And so it's not quite it's not what they originally how they originally viewed the Upside Down. And so luckily he found these notes and he was able to decipher that from these notes. It's like, I don't know, without Dustin there, I don't think we would have gotten to that point. I'm not sure Steve would have reached that conclusion.
Steve would not have reached that conclusion. We could be very clear about that for sure. Steve's having a hard time with it as it is. That being said, we'll continue on here with the story, and we're going to actually just stick with this Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan side as they are still at the Department of Energy, with this like swirling exotic matter above them. And the next scene we get to here is Dustin claiming like, okay, the world hasn't ended yet, so the exotic matter couldn't have been completely destroyed, because if it had been completely destroyed, then the walls would have come down and everything would have just been sucked out into space, essentially. So Steve is now claiming, hey, listen, then we're okay. Let's go search for Nancy and Jonathan. And Dustin is starting to yell things like, hey, listen, this building is not stable. Like, we can't be here anymore. And so Steve is yelling into the radio, absolutely nothing. And the two of them are able to look up through this hole because we're starting to see this glue substance that Jonathan and Nancy ran into kind of pouring through the stairwell, and it's creating this hole all the way up to the exotic matter, and they can now see this matter just flailing around above them. I don't know how, it's just swirling, I guess. So then we switch here now, and the next scene we get is Jonathan waking up in this room of slime dripping everywhere, and he is waking up Nancy. This whole scene, to me, by the way, is very reminiscent of the Never-Ending Story. Do you remember that?
Yes.
With the horse?
With the horse.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
So we've got this slime glue And we have Jonathan waking up Nancy, and they figure out where the door is. They can see the handle, but that's not going to do any good. They're trying to go through the door, bashing up against it. Nothing is moving this door since it's essentially sealed tight. And so we then go and we're switched back. And it's Steve and Dustin again. And Steve and Dustin have been cut off as the stairs are being sliced through by this slime and glue. Nancy then finds a leg of a chair or table or something. She's able to snap off this piece of wood back in the room. And she tries to puncture the door with it to try and create a space for them to maybe reach through and get some leeway. Nevertheless, all that happens is more slime starts flooding in from this hole that she punctures. And as this is happening, also in the corner of the room, more of the ceiling breaks out, and it is just a waterfall of this slime into the room. And we see Nancy and Jonathan both climbing onto the table as it's the highest place in the room for them to be. They don't know what the next move is, so the move is just screaming for help. And the two of them are just screaming their heads off, looking for any sort of help. We go back now to Dustin and Steve. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's listen. I know you mentioned Neverending Story.
Yeah,
I'm getting like Titanic vibes here when I see them getting onto the table.
Oh,
I'm like, oh god.
Yeah,
now they're on the final plank. Are they gonna both have space to like stay safe here? It's like, but this whole like
plenty of room for both of them on this one, by the way.
Plenty of room. But listen, there was plenty of room on that other thing. But we're not gonna get into the Titanic, okay? But yeah, it's this whole dark matter glue substance, it's all very confusing. Is it heavy? Is it not heavy? It's obviously melting through certain things. It's not melting through other things. I like, why are they able to stand in it? It's like, I don't know. So that's, Nancy also did almost like drown in this stuff before Jonathan saved her.
Pulled her out of it.
It
is. I mean, I would argue it's definitely heavy enough, because it's ripping through some areas. Now, is it ripping through all areas? No.
Yeah.
But, like, you know.
It almost seems to be acidic at times, because it's like the way that it's eating through the stairs, but then they're able to stand in
I don't
it,
know. I don't know that I would even
know.
say it's acidic. I would say it's just too heavy, and it's just breaking through the foundation. Now, that being said, why is it not breaking through the room that Jonathan and Nancy are in?
That's what I'm saying. It's confusing.
So the question is, like, how is this room built then? Right.
Right.
Like,
what's the floor made
of?
Right.
What is this made? We can't see it. All we see is glue, like, everywhere.
Right.
But we have another scene here with Dustin and Steve, who are now sitting here with this gap, and they can't get across this. So Steve finds a ladder. And he puts the ladder across. And this is one of those moments where you also have to remember where viewers of this show were. It seemed like it was a universal expectation that Steve was going to die trying to save Nancy. People seemed to feel like this was the case. So it felt like this was a moment where the Duffer brothers were showcasing, okay, we're going to have Steve want to go across this ladder, and everyone's going to think he's going to try and sacrifice himself for Nancy somehow. And Dustin pulls Steve away and begs him not to go. Like, don't be the hero this time. You can't do anything about this. Like, I can't lose you too. And it's like full honesty moment. Dustin is now like pleading with Steve not to try and be the hero because he can't lose Eddie and Steve. Yeah. Right. And so,
because, it's been really more about like Steve and Dustin, their relationship than really Steve and Nancy. So it's more about like being there for him in this moment. And I think he's like, hey, you told me that being the hero was the wrong move. Like, what did it accomplish? Nothing. And I lost Eddie out of it. Like, don't do the same thing to me. So it was a really, I appreciated that Dustin, like, just broke down here and begged him not to go because a moment later.
Very emotional moment. And as this moment is happening, the ladder rips right through the floor. Steve would have never made it. He would have just crashed down to the ground and probably died
Dustin
right there.
saved his life.
So Dustin saves Steve's life here. Mm-hmm. And as we flip back now inside the room, Jonathan says to Nancy, listen, they're not coming.
Yeah.
And we get this real moment here with Nancy and Jonathan, which I know there's a lot of emotion about, but straight up, Jonathan and Nancy start sharing with each other. Nancy starts with, I hate the Clash. And this goes on for a while of each of them sharing things that they hate that the other person loves. Jonathan saying things like, well, I hate that you make me read all your articles when you don't want me to say what's good. You don't want me to tell you if there's something wrong with them. You just want me to say that they're good. And she's like, well, they are good. And he's like, yeah, most of the time. But like, it is a moment here where both of them have now basically accepted this is the end. And
this
so
isn't Truth Day.
No, that's right. So they start sharing with each other all of these things, and it ends with Jonathan admitting, I never applied to Emerson. And Nancy saying, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, why didn't you say anything? And there's this whole dialogue about how Jonathan felt like he was just following the path because it needed to be followed, not because he felt like that was the right thing for him to be doing.
They have that shared trauma and they haven't wanted to let each other down.
Right. And Nancy then is admitting to him that she could have come out to California that year, but didn't.
Yeah.
She just felt like she needed some space. Space, like you're already, by the way, the whole country apart. But needed some space. And he says something along the lines of, yeah, to like be with somebody else, which is now bringing up Steve. And she's admitting like, listen, Steve is nicer than you think he is. But at the same time, it was never like that. You know, it was never about that with me and Steve. And so
he wants like 20 kids. I don't even know.
Right.
What I
And
want,
she starts explaining the whole sequence that we got in the previous season about him wanting like 6 kids. And Jonathan's like, that's a Happy Meal. Like, and the two of them are joking about this and enjoying, you know, this moment of honesty with each other. And this is when Jonathan decides to show her that he's been carrying around for the last few days an engagement ring in this thing, thinking that this was the right move. This was the next thing to move, the next thing to do. And he then comes up with the Nancy Wheeler, will you not marry me? They listen, hang tight, hang with me. Let's at least get through it. And it is a proposal of essentially breaking up, where the two of them realize we're not good for each other. Let's be honest in this last moment of our lives. She then accepts his unproposal, even though the both of them then tell each other that they still love each other, and they embrace, and they and Nancy throws the ring into the slime.
Jonathan throws the ring.
I'm sorry, you're right. Jonathan throws the ring away into the slime, only for it to ping, 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 as the slime has stopped and has completely solidified
instantly.
So much so that they can now walk atop the slime, and they are both ecstatic and hug each other. And this is the end of this sequence. And there is a lot to unpack. Amanda, I gave the details. You go.
It took like pending death for them to get to this place. Like basically they were giving up on living. Like they thought this is it. We might as well just confess all these things, deathbed confession style to each other. I mean, I get it. I get it to a certain extent, but the whole like let me propose, like, this unproposal, will you not marry me, Nancy Wheeler? I don't like it. I think it was weird. It's a lot. I get the whole, up to that point, it's like confessing things to each other. Like, these are I understand that. I guess in the height of emotion, you think this is it. We're never going to make it out of here. But also for this conversation to be going on for the amount of time that it did, and they were so enthralled that they didn't notice that maybe the glue stuff was like not dripping like crazy all around them. You'd got to think it was making some noises. I don't know. And so
it definitely was making noise. Like, it was but then when they cut into this sequence, we didn't hear it. They hit the soft music and they cut that sound effect out, and it was all very focused on the two of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I do like the fact that they're finally admitting to each other that you and I, we're not right together, right? Like, this is, and the fact that it makes sense that they were holding on to each other, coming to terms that it's like, hey, I think he said something like, it feels safe, but also suffocating. They both agreed to that. And so that, yeah, I get that. But for it to all be happening in this moment, it just felt like a lot, the whole unproposal. I think in reality, you just probably would have, like, I would have almost preferred to just see him like tuck the ring away, and it's like, you know, this wasn't going to happen. I don't know what added value that had to say, Nancy Wheeler, will you not marry me? She thought it was cute, I guess, but I don't know. I didn't like it. And the whole tossing of the ring, and it was like the glue stuff turned to tile or something. It made like a little like clinging sound on the ground. I don't know. So
I hear that. I will make a counter argument. I actually don't mind the proposal at all, the unproposal at all. None of that bothers me, because especially on a rewatch, they needed to have a big moment where Jonathan and Nancy admit to each other, we are not right. And he's now carrying around this engagement ring. To never show it to her is silly. Like, you have to be able to break it out and showcase that to her. So the unproposal to me is fine. If you were going to
why do you have to show her the ring?
Well, why have it in the show? That's the better question. Well, then just never get the ring at the beginning. But being that you've already introduced this, and we all know that he's been carrying it around, you can't just tuck it away and never do anything with it. You have to do something as a storytelling device, right? You're not going to like not let that come back to earth. You're going to show it. That being said, I will stand firmly on the box of, after the unproposal, they should have died in the room. Yeah. That's the part that bothers me. The fact that after all of this, they get to walk out and just, oh, we're cool now. Great. Like, I really dislike that part of it. Like, you could have had them, like you said, deathbed confessions, giving out all of this information, really becoming honest with each other right at the last moment, and then that's it. And they could, and just like Neverending Story, just like some of these other moments where we are being very honest at the end, we don't get out of this. And this is too much. And you've made a big mistake shooting this exotic matter. And you've now put yourself in this spot. And here we are. And you see all these other bodies of people who have been frozen in this glue. You now get to be that too. I feel like that would have been the thing. And so I will say this. We haven't watched the last couple episodes here. But I remember on the first watch through saying, okay, they're out of this. What are they there must be something for them to do. There must be a thing that happens. And there are minimal things that the two of them do.
There is for Nancy. They both do have a moment. There's more of a moment for Nancy.
They both have a moment, but like it could have been done by other, like this was the moment. I feel like to end their story. It was a perfect end to their arc to kill them right here.
Well, because do we really know what stops the glue, like the dark matter glue, like stuff from flowing like rapidly into that room? There's no explanation. Like I was just looking back through my notes to the other storylines, and I'm like, what?
No, we have no idea.
It's not
we don't know
good.
No, we don't know what causes it or what stops it.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been an interesting conclusion to their storyline. It would have added certainly a darker plot point. But I think that's okay. I would have been okay with that. Yeah.
After listening to the Duffer Brothers, after the whole show, after the entire series, I understand why they didn't kill them here. I feel like it would have been a really easy thing that would have made fans. I feel like more fans would have been okay with this if this was the bitter end. You know,
at least they could have had Jonathan like boosting Nancy up through like the ceiling, like to her escape, and then Jonathan never makes it out, and then he like drowns in the glue. I feel like I just feel like like any type of other like. Yeah, they could have at least killed one of them off in that moment.
The idea that they both just walk out, no problems whatsoever. Like the slime literally stops at the frame of the table.
Yeah.
Like, and it to me, it's too much.
Or like you said, never-ending story style. Like one of them could have been, or even Titanic, really. Like one of them could have been like half like they're stuck in the glue when it freezes, right? Because this stuff turns solid. What are the odds then that it's because it's on them, right? Like Nancy was half covered in this. Wouldn't that like have some
just take a shower,
body?
Get it right off, no problem.
Just shower it off. It's just a little dark matter. Like they don't explain any of that. I'm like, these guys in the hallway were like frozen in time because they had this on them. Like what is going on? I don't know. It's a lot. It doesn't make sense. They never really explain it. I feel like they really do such a great job of closing the loop on a lot of the plot points too. So that's why I think this one, you're right. It's more than the unproposal. It's more like, how did they make it out of there?
The unproposal does not bother me. And I understand if you're one of those people out there that is like too lame and bothers you. I get it. I hear that. Yeah. But to me, the bigger thing is they should not have walked out of this room. And the fact that both of them just basically walk right out is ridiculous. Like that. And again, part of that is because we don't know anything about this slime glue. We're just making our own judgments based on what we've seen. There is no explanation for this. There is we don't get Dustin's, analytics on any of this. We have nothing that goes with this new element to the story. And so I understand why there are a lot of people bothered by this scene specifically.
Yeah, and I'm just seeing they do call it an exotic matter in an unstable state, and then it just becomes stable. Like, I don't, but it doesn't say how it becomes stable.
Listen, the best I can explain would be that the exotic matter that Nancy shot unstabilized everything around it. And then as the wall like seals itself back up in the same way that the glue then hardens and seals itself and it becomes more stable over time. I don't know that that's how that works. I'm just trying to come up with something. But otherwise, I really understand why there are so many Stranger Things fans that are bothered by this specific scene. I know there are other things in this last season that bother people, but this scene specifically caught a lot of heat the day that it came out, and I understand. And you know what? It's not the only one in this episode.
No,
because we got another one later.
Oh, we got another doozy later, but yeah, it's certainly made for. I remember seeing like the behind the scenes on them creating this moment though, and there was a lot that went into it, and I'm thinking,
oh yeah,
that's a lot of time, makeup, and everything for all the viewers to be like, huh, like what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a lot of effort for an odd payoff. Like I don't.
Well, but I think the payoff of Jonathan and Nancy ultimately I think this moment had to happen. And that's why the discussion on the table with them admitting to each other how much they hate the things that the other person likes and them understanding that they're not meant for each other. That conversation had to happen. That was years in the buildup, like literally from season 2. Like they built that up, that these two are not good together, and they had to pay that off.
They both have such avoidant personalities that
Yes.
it literally had to take them almost dying in exotic dark matter for them to have this conversation. Wow, guys.
Season 2 was when they were working at the newspaper.
This is not.
And Jonathan was trying to like reel Nancy in, and they had that moment. Do you remember this moment in the car?
In the car.
Driving away when Nancy got fired and Jonathan was trying to, and it was very obvious that they were not good together at that point. And they showcased that through season 2, season 3, season 4. You had to have this big payoff. And so I don't have an issue with that. But I would have loved to see them pay it off, and then that is the end of the character. Boom, dead.
Even the idea that Jonathan ever thought that it would be a good call to propose is confusing. Like, where?
You know what? Listen.
But that is a thing that happens, though. People think, hey, I'm going to do this and it's going to fix things.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
As I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, that happens.
I know people who have had issues where they felt the pressure that they were supposed to get married and then, didn't really work out really well
or
for
like,
them.
Let's throw some kids into the mix. That'll make things better. Like,
that doesn't help either.
Yeah. So, okay, right. That is a very real thing.
It's a real thing. So, like, Jonathan getting the engagement ring, I totally hear it. But, like, he's waiting for this moment. And unfortunately, that moment's never going to come because he and Nancy are not on the same page at all and haven't been forever.
Yeah.
And they
love each other.
And they do love each other. But this moment of honesty had to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are going to get into the Hawkins group, actually in real Hawkins plotline, right?
This is the section of the story that makes the most sense.
Yes. And we kick things off by seeing the date, November 6th, on the screen. So this is the date that Lucas has been like, guys, got a bad feeling. I think it's all connected. It's going to tie back to this date because this is the date that Will first had his encounter with Vecna. So we're back at the radio station and we just see Will laying down unconscious. His eyes are going crazy behind his eyelids. Similarly to this reminded me when he was a little boy in the very first season. And we thought like, is there something like actually behind his eyelids? Cause like they're going crazy, but he is just in a really wild dream state. And Lucas is trying to catch up. He's like, guys, what is happening right now? Will saw Max and now he's unconscious. Robin is kind of reminding them also that the doctors don't know why Max is in a coma. We have Will, Holly, and Max. They're all unconscious in different locations. The Squawk, the hospital, the Upside Down. And what if Max actually isn't in a coma at all, but she's in this Vecna-like trance, which honestly, this makes a lot of sense to me, Eric, because I'm like, well, I'm kind of surprised that they hadn't considered this before because Max had already been going into these trance-like states. I think they were trying to let the doctors explain it away, but it's also not making sense to them. So, I mean, that does seem like a logical conclusion that Robin is getting to here. And, and Robin's also saying, what if their minds are all in the same place, in Vecna's mind, imprisoned? And I know we kind of talked about in the last episode, like, what's the deal with Max, right? Like, she's not hooked up to one of his, like, in the spire. So how has she been imprisoned by him? But it's almost like he was able to latch onto her while she was in this, like, unconscious state.
I think she was like, after she was dead, after he killed her and 11 brought her back,
he latched on.
It didn't, like, her body never, or she never was able to get back to her body. Like, her spirit almost got stuck in Vecna's mind. And so the body is there and the body is alive, but she's not connected to it.
Yeah, and Robin's saying, Max and Holly seem to be together making a prison break, and when they return to their bodies, they will know that they will basically know everything about where Will is, where the kids are, and everything that Vecna has been thinking, because they've had this, like, really up close and personal connection. And so that's when Lucas and Robin are off to see Max in the hospital, and Mike is going to stay with Will. And that's when we get this glimpse inside of Will's mind, where he is being held captive by Vecna, just as he had been as a little boy. And we see the form of Henry approaching him and asking if this brings back memories. And Vecna's all, I am the one who invited you in. You're my vessel, my spy, my builder. And he's reminding Will that he helped him create those tunnels. I know, Eric, we had kind of talked about how, like, how do they know how to, like, explore these tunnels? Well, because Will had created them. He was the architect, really. And he created them every night while he slept.
And so I did reference that earlier.
Yeah.
I thought about this and I was like, oh, maybe, like, I was just referencing this moment because we knew that he built them.
Yes.
We knew that.
Yes.
But we've already seen this episode.
Well, and
so
we kind of
was
knew
it
before...
mentioned earlier?
Yeah, because remember when, like, Bob Newby, like, because he was following all the drawings, Will had actually drawn them all out as a kid.
Yeah.
They were,
but
like,
we
mapped
didn't
all over the
But we didn't
room.
know that he created those tunnels.
That's true.
So this
we didn't really know that. We just knew that he mapped them out, like he drew them.
Like,
but I guess they hadn't said that, right?
When Vecna called him my builder and says, "How do you think all the tunnels came to be, William?" This is now this is when we learn.
Confirming.
Oh, he made the tunnels, not just found them and figured out where they all went. He actually built them while he was in that trance. And so I referenced that the other day when you were saying something along the lines of, how do they have all these blueprints? And I said, well, Will built all the tunnels. That was like, I was jumping the gun.
They hadn't explicitly said that. Yeah.
No, that was just me using knowledge from future episodes.
Yeah.
So, to go back then, how did they have all the blueprints from the tunnels? I don't know. They walked them, like, figured it out. There's no other way that they did that. They had to have, like, Will could know where the tunnels were. He clearly could draw them, but we didn't know that he made them.
Yeah. And
so,
well, Vecna's kind of reminding him that he is stronger than ever before, but Will is saying, like, listen, your world will never exist because Max has one of your vessels. And I guess he's referring to Holly at this point.
Yes.
But this doesn't seem to concern Vecna. And he tells Will that he's going to be his spy one last time. And that's when he does the creepy hand thing over his face. And Will is like, he's more like the more you resist this, the more it will hurt. And, like, you just see Will trying to resist it. And he's literally bleeding from his eyeballs, screaming. I'm like, okay. All right, yeah, this is a lot here. I don't think Will is going to be able to fight. No, but
it did give the idea that when faced straight up, right now, Will is not going to be able to handle Vecna.
No.
Like when it is one-on-one,
yes,
that like Vecna is more powerful than Will is.
Well, and he already has him like restrained too, and he's like, this is his mind instead of like his physical body in like the real Hawkins. So I don't know if that also makes a difference, but yeah, it's not looking good for Will here. And what we do in the next scene with the Hawkins group, we see Elle blindfolding herself trying to reach Will, and Hop is also talking to Mike, telling him, well, Nancy didn't leave a note at the church. So they're either inconsiderate pricks or captured by the military. And he's kind of like, I'm leaning on inconsiderate pricks. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what happened there. That's that is
factual. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know what they would have left a note on like, for what it's worth, but
I thought that, I'm like, you think they're really just gonna like leave a note? Like that's not happening.
Yeah, like what? Pin it to the fridge? Like what's
and for what it's worth, Hop, you were also the one who said stay there, we'll be right there, and then went on your own mission anyway. So I don't want to hear that.
If you wanted to just meet up with them, you could have done that.
You could have done it a while ago.
This is Hop just being Hop. And then he's getting into a debate with Kali about who knows Elle better. She's reminding him that they were raised together and that she's just there to help. And Kali is saying to him that, killing Henry is not just going to end this either. She wants to make sure that this is never going to happen again. Hopper is not enjoying the sound of this. Like, he basically wants to say, we're going to kill this dude and that's the end, like, end of story, like, happily ever after. And just then the lights start flashing, going crazy, and we see Elle not being able to reach Will with the blindfold on and saying like he just keeps slipping away. This is when Hopper is suggesting, hey, we have the ability to make a tank to improve your signal, which that is good call there. Like let's use all the armor that we know that we have, the weapons that we know that we have. That's gonna, as we've talked about before, it's like we've seen Elle get to that black space with just the blindfold and headphones, but like it seems like she goes in a more, she's more effective when she's submerged in the salt water. So then we also see Lucas and Robin showing up at the hospital. And Vicky, though, spots Robin. She's not doing a good job of
They're at the hospital because they've got word from Elle.
Yes. But I thought they also went to the hospital to connect with Max because that was their plan, that they want to be with Max because like when Robin was
that's
pulling
true.
Up the records,
that's true.
Right? Like, yeah.
Right. Robin, I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun.
They hadn't got the word
here.
yet. That's
they hadn't got the official word on this yet, but they knew that Max, because of Robin's whole demonstration at the beginning, that Max could be coming back to her body because of what Will had seen.
Yes, like let's
in the
keep
previous
playing
episode.
That music, right? Let's try to reconnect with her. So, but Vicky spots Robin. She pulls her aside and is telling her like, "Listen, security is looking for you. You've kind of been like stealing drugs from the patients, which it's like, yeah, that's gonna catch up with you." She's insisting the truth. But then we also see Lucas. He is talking with Max, playing her favorite song, holding her hand, trying to bring her back to him. But back in the cabin, that's when we see Elle checking the temperature in that tub that they're filling with salt. Joyce is with Will. And this is when we see Hopper then joining Joyce, and and Joyce is saying to Hopper how bad that she feels now because she had been so overprotective of him, and now this was her idea. She wanted him to go after Vecna. She didn't want to hold him back anymore. She wanted to trust him and listen to him. And now she's regretting that choice as well. And she's just like, every choice that I make, I just feel like I'm doing the wrong thing. And Hopper points out that he's been overprotective and that they never seem to have all the answers. You know, I like his quote here where he says, one of the joys of being a parent is that you have a constant reminder that every choice that you make has been the wrong one.
Hopper seems to have this ability to bounce back and forth between delivering these very thoughtful, poignant moments and quotes, and also at the same time being the one who still wants to put all the kids behind him as he rushes out, even though he has no chance, or calling Nancy and Jonathan and Steve and Dustin inconsiderate when he clearly didn't do the thing that he said he was going to do either.
It's like he knows it. He's acknowledging
he does, faults, but well, he also, like, all those moments in the prison, and like this one, we have moments where he can be very reflective and, you know, have the right way to describe something and deliver it well. But at the same time, in the moment where it matters, he seems to be more scatterbrained than you'd like to think that he is.
Yeah. This kind of brought me back a little bit to season 2 where Joyce was really talking to Hop about parenting and kind of talking him off the ledge when he was struggling with Eleven's relationship with Mike and all of that. This kind of like, and they bonded in that moment. So it sort of brought me back to that a little bit, but the stakes are much higher here because we have Will's unconscious, Joyce is feeling guilty. And I do really feel for Joyce here because, what she's saying is true. It's like she almost felt like I was being overprotective for this very reason. Then the moment I loosen up on the reins, now look at what's happening. Now I'm encouraging him to, use his powers, and now he's not waking up. It's like this. Yeah.
But it still doesn't mean it was the wrong call.
No, it still does not mean it. Hang in there, Joyce. So then we have this awkward moment between Elle and Mike where Mike is bringing up to Elle, what Kali said about it not being over once Henry is dead. She's wanting to avoid addressing that. She doesn't want his help. She is telling him, though, about the lab with Papa's program being restarted. And you kind of see Kali listening in from the other room.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's trying to figure out, like, well, where is Elle standing here? Is she going to be with me? Is she going to, just want to be with Mike? And, Mike is saying to Elle, like, well, we could just destroy the lab and just be done with it. And Elle's like, listen, that won't matter. It's not the lab. It's Henry's blood. And I have it. And they can always make more monsters out of me. Like, I am what they want. It doesn't matter. They can always just create another lab. And he reminds her of their plan to escape to this far off land with the waterfalls, and no one's ever going to find them. He wants this beautiful ending for the both of them together, and she's just feeling like that is not realistic. She wants him to be safe. I think like she really wants this to be over. I think for what it's worth too, I'm thinking of, it's like, well, Elle probably feels like she started this whole thing, right? Like the reason why, she started it because like Henry put her in that position. She was just a tiny kid, but her banishing him is then what ultimately, had this ripple effect, right? So I think she's feeling like I need to end this and end it for good, and Kali's told me what we need to do. So.
Well, and she's telling Mike, you don't get to write the ending. And he says, you're right, but we do. Me, you, Dustin, Lucas, Max, we get to write this ending. Mm-hmm. So he's still trying to let her know, hey, listen, it's not all on you. Like you've got people around you that are here to help. Now, whether she wants to take that advice is up to her.
Yeah. And then we see Will has been effectively used to find Max in her hospital bed. And you see like the blood down his face, but you also see into his mind where Vecna has located Max. And we go back to the hospital with Robin and Vicky, where Robin has told Vicky everything. And now Vicky is pacing around like crazy. She just figures she's on drugs. You know, she cannot believe this story, figures it must be hallucinations. I mean, honestly, I don't blame Vicky for feeling this way.
No,
Robin
how
has
do
been
you
acting
not?
like a nut job. So,
I mean, you know that not only is she giving you this wild story about a dark wizard stealing
but she
children,
literally stole drugs.
but she actually stole drugs.
Yeah.
And Vicky is having the hardest time trying to understand this whole sequence of things. Meanwhile, Robin is saying things like, listen, the Earth split in 4. The entire military has locked down Hawkins. Is this so hard to believe? And the answer is yes. It's still impossible to believe. And it's like, I
Poor
get
Vicky is like, so there's a dark wizard stealing children and putting them in a dream world. Okay. You know, and tells Robin that she needs some serious help. But just then, as Robin's like peeking out into the hallway, she's hearing the receptionist saying, oh yeah, Robin, yeah, she's in there. So the military are right on her heels and she is trying to sneak out, but is just immediately surrounded. And that's when we go back to seeing Elle telling Joyce that she will find Will and bring him home. So she's going into that black space and she is approaching Will on the bed and telling him to show her where he is. And that's when you see all of Vecna's like tentacles appear in that black space around them. And then she is in the space with him where Vecna has put him on the wall and she's using her powers to free him from these tentacles. And again, we see that Vecna has used Will to already find Max in the hospital bed just before Elle is able to wake Will up, though, from this trance. So he's got what he wanted, and Will is saying as much. He's saying it's too late.
We get this pause here where a screen kind of goes black, and you hear Vecna's voice saying, "You'll be my spy one last time." And it showcases what Vecna meant by this, where you're now seeing through Will where Max is. And so now Vecna knows where Max's body is. And so that changes the whole game.
Yeah. And now Vecna will be after her in Hawkins. Ella's getting out of the tub and alerting the group. And as this is happening, we also are back in the hospital seeing Robin still being taken away by these soldiers. And that's when the lights start flashing, going crazy. And then in one moment later, yes, a massive demogorgon. And this is probably the only time where I'm like, oh, good timing, demogorgon, because this allows Robin to get free because the demogorgons are immediately attacking the soldiers. They're trying to shoot at it. So they are just eating one of the soldiers, attacking the other one. Robin and Vicky are running off, and now Vicky has obviously seen the demogorgon, so she's like, oh, monsters, yes.
Right. She's starting to buy in a little bit. And during this whole running sequence, we also get this very short glimpse of Karen waking up in her bed.
That's right.
And she's sitting up as all the lights are going crazy, knowing, oh, I know what this is.
That's right, because demogorgons are like everywhere. They're running up and down all the hallways. Robin is trying to call Lucas, but then Vicky is showing her how to page. She's like, did the monster, shouldn't say demogorgon, but she's like, are these monsters like hearing? Like, can they understand what you're saying? And she's like, no, I don't think so. So she just goes over the overhead page, warning him that the demogorgons are after Max. Head to the basement. So yes, this is when we also see Mrs. Wheeler hearing all this overhead page. And there's no sign of Ted, though. Like, no sign of Ted. We just see Karen waking
He's
up
in the hospital somewhere.
Yes.
He's probably just watching TV.
Yes, and then Lucas is off with Max with the boombox playing the music. We also see Karen ripping out her IV, and the Demogorgon sees Lucas as he is getting on the elevator. And I love this moment for Lucas where like it is about to get onto the elevator and Lucas just kicks it really hard out just in time for the doors to close. So we also see with Karen noticing, oh, there are these oxygen tanks sitting in the corner here. Huh, those might come in handy. Back with Lucas, we see him meeting up with Robin and Vicky in this laundry room area. And that's when they're all frantically hiding behind these giant washing machines. And Robin and Vicky are kind of whispering apologies, to each other, promising a date. Lucas is unaware of what's going on here. The music is still playing on his lap, this Kate Bush song, the Running Up That Hill that Max loves so much to try to bring her back. But meanwhile, the demogorgons are breaking down the door and getting way too close to them. Lucas does not want to turn off the music. And I feel like at this point too, it's really not going to make much of a difference. I don't think that the music is going to, I don't know. It's probably not helping, but at this point, yeah, this is a bad situation. This reminds me, this is very Jurassic Park.
That's exactly what I wrote down. This is absolutely like the raptors in the kitchen.
Love that.
At Jurassic Park, yes. Where they're hiding around the end like those two kids would be. Yes. And I do like Robin is looking at Lucas like, listen, you got to turn the music off. Like she's begging him to turn it off. And he's got like tears in his eyes. Like, no, she's coming back. Yeah. And he's got the music playing and it's quieter, but he's got it playing, and, he's holding on to Max, just waiting for that moment, hoping that she, snaps to it. All of a sudden,
there's a sound.
Meanwhile, those demogorgons are getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer.
Getting way too close, but then there is a clanking sound in the distance, this loud knocking sound, and one of the machines seems to have turned on. So they're all distracted by that. All three of them go over to look, staring into the washing machine, or it's a dryer, I think. And they are seeing that the heat is on high. Well, we're seeing that the heat is cranked up to high, and it is the oxygen tank in there, and it gets so loud. I mean, it gets so hot and pressurized that it explodes. And there is this giant fireball that just projects from this dryer right in their faces, taking them all out. And there was actually this one moment, though, Eric, I have to say, where the Demogorgon is looking into the dryer, and right before it explodes, it goes,
yeah.
It's almost like this curious, what a dog would make. And I do know they call them demo dogs, but it's what is that? Yeah, you're about to die. So, takes them out, and Karen Wheeler is looking so badass in this scene, limping up out of the smoky shadows with
she emerges from the fray.
There's flames, there's lights hanging from their, little fixtures and swinging, and it's just this awesome moment where Karen with the neck brace on just comes limping out of the shadows. And yeah, I did that. You're welcome, kids. So that was this great moment. And that's kind of where we leave that group.
Amazing moment for Karen at the end. Really quite, it's actually shorter than I remember the scene being. I feel like I was stuck in this laundry room.
Yes.
Worrying about these kids for a really long time. And it really wasn't that long a sequence. What strikes me most about it is Lucas's passion for keeping the radio on.
Yes.
He is not going to turn that off no matter what you do. That radio is staying on. That music is playing.
Yeah,
and
because I think now he's maybe regretting not just having it playing
playing as much as possible.
Poor Lucas.
Knowing that she's out there. Now he has confirmation that she is trying to get back. Yeah. And that changes everything. I will say, and you did mention that this was a good moment for Lucas, but I have to say, this is the third time in the series that we have seen, starting with the opening scene in the first episode where we have a guy running through the halls and gets into the elevator and he's pushing the buttons and it doesn't happen, and the Demogorgon runs into the elevator and kills them. And then we see it again in another sequence with like the Russian elevator, I think.
Yes.
When they rush in and Demogorgons rip everybody apart. And here, Lucas can just like kick one back. I have a hard time with this. Like, I have a hard time with the fact that Lucas can just like, kick it. Oh, that's good. Just punt it back.
He's an athlete, Eric.
Listen. I feel
while carrying Max.
While carrying Max, he just sticks his foot out and knocks it back like 5 or 6 feet, enough for the doors to close. I don't know.
I just wish he had his slingshot on him. That would have.
Okay.
Put down Max, use the slingshot right to the.
Don't get me wrong. It was very cool for Lucas, but I feel like we have established that that's not a thing. And we're making it a thing.
It was a little Demogorgon.
So our final sequence of this episode is going to really deal with the Holly and Max side of things. And as we know, as we've just talked about, we know that Lucas is on the other end of this playing music trying to get Max back. But what we have here is Holly and Max were last left running away from Henry as Will had broken his ankle. And so when we get back to Holly and Max, they are running back through all the memories and they are coming out the door where Holly first arrived at this place. And basically they run all the way back to the cave, only for Henry to slowly make his way up to that cave entrance as well. And he is basically threatening Max's life. And Holly is left with a decision, as he is trying to claim that that Max is the one that Holly shouldn't be listening to, except Holly has now seen Henry as Vecna, and that sure does change some things. So Holly now has to decide if she wants to return with Henry at some point or stay with Max while watching Max essentially die. That's the promise that he's made. I can stop it, which is, I think, what's now happened. He now knows where her body is, so he can kill her body, and then Holly will have to watch Max die in her mind. I think that's the correlation here.
Yeah, well, I think in this point of the story, maybe he hadn't fully maybe he's imprisoned Will, but he hasn't found Max yet, but he knows that he could.
He's going to try to figure that out. Yeah, he's got to get rid of Max one way or the other, because she's just causing problems. But then Max, as they get back to their cave area, is convinced that it was 11 as Henry, and it was 11 talking to them saying, "Hey, run." Doing all these things. She's like, once you know somebody else who's got special powers like that, it's got to be her. Well, it wasn't. It was Will, but we don't know that, or they don't know that yet. And so they're trying to figure out, well, maybe there's a reason that Henry doesn't want to come in here, and maybe it's a memory that Henry doesn't want to face, and that's why he won't come into this cave. And the memories of all of the times that their minds were stolen is that moment where they've been able to find the exit. When Max is up in the roof, up in the attic, she was able to find an exit that way because that's when Vecna stole her mind. When Holly was dragged out of her kitchen, that was where they found an exit because that's where Vecna stole her mind. And this is where Holly is saying, well, maybe Henry's mind was stolen and we can find an exit there. And so Max is like, hey, maybe we're dealing with crazy here. So maybe that's plausible. And Holly decides she wants to head out into the desert because Max has looked at some of it, but not all of it.
I do want to point out here, because I'm realizing in my notes, I never really connected the dots on like when Hopper was reunited with the group, because we talked about when Elle was kind of blocking in the opening scene where she's blocking all the wind, and I skipped over the scene where like they then appeared in this car at the house, and so he was reunited with Joyce and like all of them, and he's kind of like, well, where's the rest of the crew? And that's when like Elle then went into her blindfolded state. So I just noticed that in my notes, and I just kind of breezed past that. But I guess it was kind of assumed that it's like, yeah, they're all together now.
They found him.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back here. Holly wants to try and head out into this desert area, which Max has claimed that she's searched all through, but as they are actually out there, Max is saying things like, okay, are we done? Like, we've looked everywhere out here. And Holly starts telling the story about her Uncle Eric, who had a metal detector and would go to this beach all the time and search the metal detector every single day and never found anything. And then a tourist came and found millions of dollars in coins in these tin cans at that same beach that he would use his metal detector at. And so she's saying something like, so are you saying that I'm your Uncle Eric? She's like, no, but I'm the tourist. Like, maybe I'm the one, now that I'm out here too, maybe I can find something that you didn't see. Mm-hmm. And she's looking through her spyglass and saying things like, this is so stupid, with the cap on it. And then as she's kind of spinning around, she looks at the cap and she's saying, wait a minute, this cap lines up with the cave. And so she yells to Max, we're going back. And Max is like, why? And she's like, who cares? You want to go back? We're going back. And so turns around and starts heading back towards the cave.
These wheelers, they're good at solving puzzles. So
they are. And so she puts the lid back on the thing. And as she's looking back at the cave, she's trying to line up this broken cap with the cave shape. And she is saying, like, listen, we're near the secret location. Like, Max is saying, listen, I have eyes. Like, there's nothing around here. We're at the point. And this is exactly when Holly falls into this shaft of this underground area, like this mine. And she grabs onto the top. They pull her out. And they're able to look into this whole thing where, okay, this might be, this broken cap must have been a map that young Henry had created.
Yes.
So he knew where to go.
Yes.
And as such, they get down into the bottom of this mine and there is blood traces everywhere. And they come around this corner. Yeah, they come around this corner and there's this man holding a case and he yells out, You found me. How did you find me? Yes. And they're like, he's talking to us. Uh-huh. Like, are you sure this is a memory? Pretty sure. And this is when we then see, like,
he's holding a gun.
Young Henry is rocking up behind them too. Right. Yes, he's pointing a gun at them.
Yes.
And Henry starts talking to this man as he is pointing a gun at him, and the two girls now, Max and Holly, kind of slide out of the way so they can watch this memory kind of transpire, only to see Henry try and approach this guy as the man shoots a hole into Henry's hand.
Yes.
Henry then essentially takes a stone to this guy's face and beats him with it as he's holding this case. But anyway,
this guy
Holly's trying to watch.
Someone has sent Henry. He's like, who sent you? He sounds like really paranoid and looks crazy. Like, we don't know what is happening here.
Holly can't keep her eyes off it, but Max, who's been a veteran of this whole like memory sequence, is like, listen, forget this. This isn't irrelevant. Where's the exit to this place? So Max is looking around trying to find a way, something that would be different. And she comes across this rock wall, which is like a cave in, and starts pulling rocks back. And she can see that same red glow that has been the exit point for all of these other memories.
Yep.
Holly is meanwhile watching this as Henry has now got the case, and he starts to open the case, and we see all this like steam or smoke come out, and then Max pulls her away and says, "Hey, you were right. The way out is here." And so Max tries to like pull a couple more stones down, and essentially they squeeze through this very narrow area into this same exit point so they can find the exit out of Vecna's mind once and for all.
Yes.
And as they are kind of making their way through this red landscape area, Max sees the exit. She sees the opening, the glow, with Lucas carrying her and the boombox. And Holly, she then turns to Holly and says, "Listen, you can't come with me. You need your own exit. Like, you need something that connects you to home, to the real world."
Right.
And Holly is claiming things like, "Listen, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have anything back there." And Max is trying to say, "Listen, you need something that makes you feel safe." And they start talking about Holly the heroic. And, you know, Holly is saying, "It's just a toy. This doesn't really mean anything." And she said, "Yeah, but Holly the heroic is still in the real world. And if it's just a toy, why do you carry it with you?" And she says something about Mike and how, "Listen, I just stood there in all these moments. I wasn't a hero. Like when Vecna had you, I just stood there. When my mom was getting beaten down by a demogorgon, I just stood there. I didn't do anything heroic." And Max is trying to give Holly all of these reasons, moments where she did prove that she was heroic. Henry told her not to go through the woods, yet she came all the way through the woods anyway, right? And there are a number of other sequences that she's trying to show to Holly, "Hey, you did do this. You did do these things, right? You did help with this and that and the other." And as she's talking to her, she's saying, "Listen, you saved me. She's not just a toy, she's you." And as this is happening, Holly's door starts to open, and we see this cloud with Holly on the other side of it. And Max says to her, "Listen, he's probably holding you in the upside down. You need to find your way to your house. Remember, the upside down is just like Hawkins. Find your way to your house and we will find you." And so they both turn like towards their areas, towards their respective doors to connect with their bodies on the other side. And they start walking their way towards their doors. And then slowly this walk turns into a jog, which turns into a run. And they are running towards their doors. And the episode comes to a close.
Oh my God.
Again, this is a moment that catches a lot of flack. Amanda, I described it. You give your reactions.
This was a choice, all right? This was a bizarre choice because, Eric, we just saw these two girls walking through the desert, like aimlessly trying to figure out their way for a long time. Max, girl, why did you not have this conversation with Holly at any one of those points? At any point would have made way more sense than in this moment. You see your gate. She has been trapped in this state for how long now? And she's not just sprinting for that portal. We don't know how long it's going to stay open. Like, she almost made it before and she lost it. So the idea of her now feeling like I need to give Holly this pep talk is wild. Like, it doesn't make sense. They should have built this in earlier in the episode. I really struggle with this. Like, I can get there, like what we were talking about earlier with the Nancy and Jonathan scene. I mean, there are things that I struggle with that as well, but this to me is worse. Like, this is this is just not good. This got so much flack, and I get it. Like, I really can't defend it.
Everywhere.
Even the fact that after Holly gets her portal, they still don't run. Then they have like this 2-minute hug, and then they're like saying, okay, they both start casually walking, and then they kind of start running. It's weird.
This,
I think they tried to overly like dramatize it. I don't know, make it like too dramatic. It didn't work.
This is a hard spot to defend. Not that I'm ever trying to just blindly defend their decisions, but I always try to
see,
understand, look towards other perspectives. Like maybe my perspective isn't the one that I want to pick, but there's something else out there. Listen,
this is tough.
The idea that Max knows that Holly can't go to the same exit and never mentions that at any point in time, that they're going to have to create a second exit for Holly. Like, Holly, Max, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, this conversation has to have been had long before you get there.
Yeah.
Long before.
Yep.
Like, if Max, if you knew this from the jump, which you know, obviously you did, how do you not break that down? Like, hey, by the way, when we get there, we can't go through the same exit. Like, that's got to be laid out in the journey.
That could have been pointed out at any point in this storyline.
Any juncture, they could have mentioned this. I mean, it makes sense to us through all the different things that we've seen in the sequence that we see them through watching the show. But the idea that we've got to now have this moment with Holly where we lay all of this out. And then even if you didn't and you have this moment, it's like, okay, there's your door. Here's my door. Let's walk slowly.
Yeah. No,
I just can't defend this in any way.
And if she knew that she would have had to make her own exit, you would have thought she would have given her more notice so that she could come up with the idea of, hey, what might create a portal for me, instead of just springing it on her at the last moment. And then she said something like, how did you know that would work? She's like, I didn't, just kind of guessed. I'm like, what, Max?
Didn't know, just was just trying to help you out. Like, what's going to connect you to the real world? Also, when you then get the second door open to have this whole dialogue on, by the way, this is probably where you are in the upside down. Remember that this is like, what are we talking about? We got both doors open. Run, don't walk.
Because
Max.
Max.
Boy.
This is
and Max is easily one of my favorite characters in the show, but this moment is hard.
Yeah.
This is a hard moment for Max.
Not good.
And it stops with us not seeing them get to the door.
No.
So we don't even know at the end of this episode if they officially get there. We know they get there.
It's just them running. This was Christmas Day, Eric. This was on Christmas Day.
This was not the Christmas present that I wanted to open.
This was delivered to us, and we're like, what is going on here? And luckily, we did have one other episode to watch, but it was like, what?
My social media was filled.
Oh yeah.
With memes about this.
The running.
Max not running.
Yes.
And then it was tied between that and Jonathan and Nancy on the table, but the Max running easily was the most.
Yes, absolutely. It was just, well, it was a lot.
It was not enough.
It was not.
It was.
It was not enough. No, it was
like
too
you should have done
talking.
something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's the door. Time to go. Holly, see you on the other side. Figure it out. Well, now we're going to jump into our IMDb rating segment of this podcast where we talk about our ratings versus your ratings as we found them on IMDb, not to mention our favorite and least favorite characters of this episode. And I know we mentioned at the beginning, before we even started the podcast recording today, we were talking about whose do you have a favorite character? Do you have a least favorite character lined up? And both of us were able to line up a least favorite character, and we did not have a favorite lined up very quickly. And I think that sometimes goes to show where this episode ranks in our feelings about it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens when there's like so many great moments that it's hard to pick, but this was
this was not that.
This was not that. It was more like, okay, like there were definitely great moments by a few people that I can cling to as like, I mean, this was not to me like this terrible episode, but there were just moments that were really jarring, and that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like I still really enjoyed rewatching it. I feel like there were really important moments that tied it all together with the series, that especially on the rewatch, it's like, oh, okay.
But there were also some like, hey, with a couple episodes left, we're going to change a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that, that's fine. And if you're not, it's a little tough. So I'm interested to hear about your rating in a minute. But let's talk about favorite and least favorite characters.
Okay.
Let's start with favorite, because I think that'll be a little tougher. Who's your favorite from this episode?
For this one, he wasn't in a whole lot of the episode, but I actually went with Dustin, because he found that notebook. He understood what was being spelled out in that notebook. Now we know what the upside down really is. I feel like it added a lot to the series. It will ultimately guide the rest of their journey to defeat Vecna.
For sure.
Robin wasn't a close second for me. I really liked her in this episode, understanding that it's like Max is in this trance. It's not a coma. And since this was the state that she kept going back in, before, it almost seemed like I said earlier, an obvious conclusion, but I like that Robin connected those dots, where some others hadn't. So I like that.
I feel like Robin was also second for me. Robin was instrumental in figuring out a lot of this, and then her scenes with Vicky I thought were incredibly powerful and good, enjoyable, dramatic. It was all good. Like, Robin was really good in this episode. I will lean towards my favorite being Lucas.
Love Lucas. Yep.
Really enjoy just the passion you see from Lucas not wanting to give up on Max.
Yeah.
In the most dire of moments, when most people would probably say, I can turn the music off here for a second because we might die. He still held it together and said, no, I don't care. Like, we are bringing Max back. Love it. Also, I do like Dustin. Also, little nod to Karen here. Karen Wheeler coming through with a big moment. Like, it wasn't a lot, but it was a big moment.
Karen,
and so I don't hate it.
Short list too. Oh my God, that was an amazing moment. Love just the scene of her standing with like the flames all around and the smoke everywhere, and she's just limping out from the shadows. So badass. Love that.
For all the crap that we gave Karen for all those seasons early on, she is paying dividends here if you were a supporter in season 5.
They didn't have Ted make that breakthrough. They didn't have him.
Yeah, no, they did not.
Oxygen tank. We don't even know where poor Ted is.
So my least favorite character, I will then roll and say, is Max. And it's all for what we literally just ended talking about.
Yeah.
The lack of hustle, if you want to call it that, and the lack of foresight to not have this conversation earlier is crazy to me.
Yes.
Also, in all of the stuff that you've been doing, you're doubting Holly wanting to go out into the desert and look. Like, there were just a number of sequences here where Max seemed to be like in the way more than helping Holly.
Agreed.
And there were moments where Max was necessary, and she again is one of my favorites.
Yeah, same.
I don't think I'm looking real quick. I don't know that this might be the first time. It is the first time that I've picked Max as my least favorite character.
Yeah. I'm going with Max as well.
Okay.
Same reason.
I wasn't sure. I thought you might go with Jonathan.
No, I thought about Jonathan or Nancy, but overall the Max scene just bothered me more. Like I said, it's like it just that whole sequence, for all the reasons that you just listed, everything that we talked about at the end of this episode, I just really struggled with that. I even really struggled with, I don't like the choice that they made to like have this scene, this really pivotal scene with little Henry in his scout uniform killing this dude in self-defense because he was holding a gun to them. It was this really like important, what feels like a very important moment. And even Holly saying, is this what made him into Vecna? Like, is this that pivotal moment in his life that turned him evil? And Max is kind of like, let's go check out these boulders. And I'm like, I kind of want to see what's in the briefcase. Like, there's this dry ice coming out. Like, what's in there? Show us, you know?
So this is like what I was saying with the engagement ring. You're going to introduce the engagement ring. You have to pay off what like, what are you going to do with it? You can't just have it in your pocket forever. You have to showcase it at some point, whether for good, bad, or the other. You've now introduced this briefcase. There are 2 episodes left. You better show us what's inside this briefcase because it feels important. And
you have this sense of urgency here to get through the boulders, but then you have no sense of urgency once your portal appears. It doesn't jive. I don't like it.
I'm also not sure how Henry ends up in this mine shaft with this guy. Like, none of that makes any sense right now. This is all so off the cuff. But you know, this is where I'm still a very optimistic person when it comes to these things. I want to see it roll out. And as we are rewatching these things, I've seen it roll out already, but I'm curious to see the second time through how I feel about some of these features.
Yeah.
Because I think these next few episodes, people are going to have some interesting ratings with. And so with that, Amanda, I know you said you had finally settled on your rating. You were going to think about changing it maybe today a little bit throughout the conversation.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm sticking to where I'm at. Listen, I feel like there were enough things that were driving where the rest of the storyline will go in the series as a whole. But it started to, I feel like there could have been maybe a better use of time in different moments. Either way, I didn't hate it overall, but it definitely was not a strong episode for me. I gave it a 7.9. I love that we understand that the Upside Down is now a bridge, and we actually got to see that visual of what it looks like. I do appreciate the fact that Jonathan and Nancy are like officially over now. This was a long time coming. That Steve and Dustin are also kind of like back together, like they're reunited. I like that. I really love the scenes at the hospital with the Demogorgon. Those were like, I feel like the best in the episode. But yeah, how are they not more curious about the briefcase? You know, the final scene was just bonkers. So that's where I landed.
So for me, the obviously the Max and Holly running to the exit scene, and also the unproposal are jarringly interesting scenes that I don't agree with how they went down.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see Jonathan and Nancy have their characters come to an end in that room, and I would have loved to have seen the dialogue that happened with Max and Holly happen at any point in time earlier in this series, and then just have them do a more natural, like, there's the door, it's time to go and run. Even if Vecna shows up behind him and starts trying to pull him back or whatever, but we're running.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not walking, we're not having a whole conversation. It's time to go. I feel like that could have been done so much differently.
And knowing that we only have 2 episodes left too, it's like, oh.
Right. That being said, all the stuff that happened at the hospital was great.
Yep.
Loved it. Between the Demogorgons in their Jurassic Park style, trying to hunt things down with Lucas, holding on to Max with Karen having her huge moment at the end. Like, these were all big things that I enjoyed listening to, including all of the stuff that Robin did was amazing. The stuff at Squawk was pretty good. Not great. It was good. But I will say, I went back and looked. My lowest rated episode was The Lost Sister.
Yeah.
Right? And I went back and looked at that, and I gave that episode a 7.5. So that has been my lowest episode.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this has got to be close. And the first episode of this season, I gave a 7.6. And I said, this episode is just so jarring because I feel like I'm confused at what I'm even looking at. Like, this doesn't even feel like the same show almost. And now we have this one, which I get a lot. It's definitely the same show. And I got some catastrophic moments for me, but it does still have some positives. I'm going to give this a 7.6 and stay with The Crawl, a little bit better than The Lost Sister, but not much.
Yeah.
It's definitely not one that I'm looking to rewatch a lot.
Yeah, it definitely had memorable moments, that's for sure.
Memorable moments, for sure.
It's sad that like this one became such a memorable episode for not great reasons. I'm like, oh,
no,
yeah.
This is that. But anyway, so I gave this a 7.6. You gave it a 7.9. As I am pulling up IMDb right now, it looks like the people have given this a 7.8. So in between us.
I was thinking,
I fully
when you
expect
start talking about it, I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like 7.2 or like something even in the low sevens? You could have convinced me of that. So
well, listen, this is the third episode this season that is under an 8. I don't think you have many more. Real quick count. There are only 3 other episodes in the series that are under 8 for IMDb.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
this is the third one this season.
Yeah. So when you have an episode,
and we got 2 more to go. We'll see.
Yeah. When it's such a great
what happens
show,
in the next 2.
That's why it's like, oh my God, when like weird things happen, it's almost like it sticks out even more when they're just so good at storytelling that it's like, guys, what are we doing here? But
yeah.
I think things can get to be like you're scrambling to try to like put things together, try to have like, I think, emotional conclusions, but it's like, oh, this was just not the right time at the end here. So oh man, but I'm looking forward to the next 2 for sure. And again, just to remind folks, we're going to be doing the last episode. So we have one more, episode 7 for next week, and then episode 8 we're going to be splitting into 2 different parts. So we have 3 more releases for We Run on Reruns for Stranger Things. Well, and then to wrap up with a conclusion, as we kind of touched on.
Yeah, we'll do some more after that too.
Yeah.
It's just some fun ones.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check out our socials, our Instagram, our YouTube, and follow, subscribe, like, share, repost, all the fun things that you can do on social media with our content there. We really appreciate the support that we are seeing already. Also, you can check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please give us a 5-star rating if you find us there. Not to mention, we're on plenty of other podcast players, including Patreon. You can find us at Patreon at We Run on Reruns. And for Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching Season 5, Episode 7 for next week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.